everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining today. It is a very, very hot day here where I am. So I am happy to be inside and relaxing right now. Although I was out in the garden earlier and checking in on all of it, and things are looking good out there. Hopefully, after today, they will still look okay. But welcome, everybody. My name is Carrie. My husband Dale and I are the creators of Park Seeds app from seed to spoon. And we started gardening back, oh gosh, over 10 years ago now. And we knew absolutely nothing whenever we started. Like we were complete beginners, complete newbies. And along the way, like we turned here, let me pull out the pictures. It's been a while since I shared these. So we turned our backyard is here in Oklahoma. So we live in Oklahoma Zone 7. So you can kind of see here we have a traditional Oklahoma backyard with just a bunch of Bermuda grass and then nothing. And we ended up just falling in love with gardening, and we turned like our entire backyard over into gardens. We grew a bunch of fruits, vegetables, herbs, flowers. I mean, you name it. We've probably tried to grow it at some point in our experience. It's just super fun to go through and have fun and experiment. But we learned a lot throughout this and ended up developing the Seed to Spoon app. So because while we were learning, we were like, I really wish that there was an app for that. And none of the ones we tried were any help at all, really. So we were like, okay, let's just do it ourselves. So we created the Seed to Spoon app that hopefully you all know and love. If you don't already have it, here, let me pop up the QR code there in the corner. So if you don't already have it, make sure you scan that and check it out, because seriously, it is so helpful. I use it myself, even like every single time I'm out in the garden, pretty much. It gives exact planting dates based on your location. It helps you with questions, and like with Robot, it helps you show you your visual garden layout. I mean, really, there's just so much. It's like I can't even just say it all, too. Like really, there's so much there. But yes, I am super like I always use it all the time. So hopefully you all find it just as helpful as I do. But I see several of you are here joining from all across the country. So hi everybody. Welcome. Pop into the chat if you haven't already. Let me know where you all are joining me from. Also, while I'm talking about chat, every time you do comment in here, you're going to be entered in to win a free year of premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So a lot of the features on the Seed to Spoon app are free. Like in fact, like there's so much on there that is on the free version, but the premium version just kind of steps it up a little bit. And here, let me pop up one more graphic here to help with show you the differences. So with the premium, you're going to have unlimited plants that you can log and put in your visual garden layout. You can have as many gardens as you want to in your Seed to Spoon app. And you can also ask as many questions to Growbot as you want to every single day. Have as many conversations as you'd like. Send Growbot pictures, help with plants or plant problems or identification of plants or bugs or anything like that. So many different things. Plus, you get free shipping on all of your orders through Park Seed, which is huge. So yeah, absolutely huge. But so we are going to be doing a giveaway for that for at the very end of today. So make sure you're staying tuned and pop into the chat. Let me know where you're gardening from. Hi, everybody. And then also, too, like I know a lot of you all are not able to join live. So if you're watching this after the fact, you are still going to be entered in to win. I do an after the fact giveaway, too. So once this posts, clear until the next week when I go live, I will pick another winner. We'll draw another winner from the people who comment after the fact. So I did go through for last week. So last week I went live with Edvin from Smart Pots, and he was at this gardening conference called Cultivate. So he went through Cultivate, like showed us all the new things going on, and it was really fun. It was great. So if you missed that, make sure you check it out. But we do have a winner from last week after the fact. So congratulations to Donna Plant. So send me an email here at info@seedtospoon.net, and I will get you all hooked up with your goodies from last week. So congratulations, Donna. And like I said, you guys all stay tuned to the end. You all are going to be entered in to win our giveaway too. So, and today is also going to be a really great day too. We're going to be talking all about pruning, and we're going to be doing talking all about tomatoes and basil and flowers and all of that. So all of the fun things, right? Hopefully you all are staying cool where you are and not crazy hot like it is here with me. We're supposed to be breaking 100 today. Let's see, we are at 97 right now here in Oklahoma. So, whew, yeah, very, very hot. But like I said, I'm happy to be indoors right now and staying cool with my indoor plants here in the background. So they're all staying cool. I'm staying cool. It's great. Okay. So let's talk all about summer pruning. And of course, I did already talk about our giveaway, but just in case. So let's talk really quick about like why you should prune. Let's talk tomatoes, because I mean, tomatoes, let's be real, are what everybody I'm sure is here for, right? Like everybody always asks all the questions about tomatoes, how to prune tomatoes, and when do I prune tomatoes, and why should I even think about doing it? So honestly, there's a lot of reasons why you should be considering pruning your tomatoes. And one of the biggest reasons is just helping with like disease prevention for tomatoes. And really, I mean, a lot of tomatoes are susceptible to a lot of diseases, and a lot of them come from the lack of airflow, or sometimes they get splashed too much because they have too many leaves like down low next to the soil, or all of that. And then also, like, I mean, it's just a lot healthier for the tomatoes too. And let's be real, not everybody has a huge garden to let tomatoes go wild too. So sometimes you have to do it out of necessity and make it fit your garden, right? I mean, so there's a lot of different ways and a lot of different reasons why you would want to prune your tomatoes. Let's see. Sorry, any questions that you guys have, please pop them into the chat and I will pop them up throughout this as well. If I know it's something I'm going to cover later on, I will try to mark it so I can pull it up here in a little bit too. So like I said, if you guys have any questions at all, like pop them in there. Okay, so with the tomatoes, so there's a couple different ways to prune tomatoes. And yes, I feel y'all. Oh, and I love this. Good call out here, Joe. Yes, for sure. So whenever anybody is talking about suckers, so for those of you who don't know what a sucker is, I have all of this plant stem over here labeled right here. I have 1, 2, and then 3 over here on the side. So number 1 is that main stem right there. So that's the one that has your main growth on it. Don't touch that. Leave that be. Number 2, that one coming through is actually what is called a sucker. And this is one that it is a common method to go through and remove suckers. So this helps for several reasons. It helps to improve airflow, make your plant more manageable, so it's not like going crazy on you and just growing every which way and all of that. And yeah, like Joe said, use them to make new plants. Absolutely. So pull off those suckers. These suckers will produce new plants for you, essentially. So if you pinch that off, go put that in some water. I've actually too, like just pinched one off and put it into the ground right next to the tomato plant too, and just keep it moist and it will reroot. Everywhere where you see, like you can kind of see the little hairs on the side of the tomato plant in that picture. all of those have the ability to make new roots. So you can make new plants from all of your suckers. So a lot of different reasons to prune your suckers. And it will also help to focus a lot of energy into that number one growth and number three. But it will help with your number one growth where all of your main tomatoes are going to be. It will help make these tomatoes larger and more fruitful. Pun intended there, right? But essentially, if you take that off, it will focus more energy into creating the tomatoes over on number one. So you will have those right there. So they're called suckers because they suck energy essentially from your number one stem. But and like not necessarily a bad thing to take them away too, because number two, those suckers, they are going to be producing more tomatoes. So you can keep the suckers on there, but the reason why people do it is because a lot of the times, like those tomatoes that are growing on number one aren't going to be quite as large, which for some people, especially for me, for like things like cherry tomatoes, I don't really care. And I'm like, yeah, give me more tomatoes. So I will keep one and two on there. And so that way I get a whole bunch of tomatoes instead of, larger tomatoes. Because if they're cherry tomatoes or anything like that, I don't really care about huge ones. But if it's something like I'm growing like the Whopper tomatoes, which I love, if you guys haven't checked those out yet, definitely do, because those are some of my favorite tomatoes. They are huge. I'm growing, they're seriously like Whoppers. They are like the size of my palm. Oh, I love them. But anyways, if I'm growing those, I will go through and remove some of the suckers. This is a good call out too. Thank you for pointing this out, because our first year that we were growing tomatoes, we took this to heart. We're like, okay, so we're supposed to go out there and pull off every sucker that we see and train it essentially to just have the main stem. No, please don't do that, because yes, it is good for airflow and all that, but keep in mind too, like that is going to be a lot of like sun coming down on just that one main stem. You don't have any sort of like protection on them. And honestly, they can really struggle. And ours really struggled that year that we were like meticulous about going through and making sure we got all the suckers taken off. They really struggled just from like the sun. So I will definitely agree here. Thank you for pointing this out. It is good to remove some, but not all. Like make sure that your main stem still has some protection. Like you don't want to remove everything. You want to make sure that they still have a little bit of protection. Yes. And then exactly, Stephanie. So there is another method here. So like I was talking about with the cherry tomatoes, a lot of the times I will go through and I will leave 1 and 2 on, but on number 3, which is that branch, I'll take that one off. So that's another way to prune, is keeping 1 and 2. So keeping the main stem and the sucker, but removing the 3. So this helps to keep the plant nice and tidy, helps with airflow, all of that. But you are still, helping it along a little bit and making it not quite as large too, but you will get more tomatoes. Again, a little bit smaller because number 2 is going to be sucking away some of the energy from number 1. But if that's something that you don't really care about, or if they're cherry tomatoes, by all means, take away that number 3 and then you give it a little bit more airflow and all of that. But yeah, again, I'm just giving a bunch of, I'm throwing a lot of information at you, I know, but there's a lot of different ways to prune, and there is not any like simple, like right or wrong method, like honestly. And don't just go through and be like, I'm going to take away every single sucker, or I'm going to take away every single side branch. Like it's a good like happy medium, at least for me. I go through and I do different things for different types of plants. Like I already told you too, with my Whopper tomatoes, I will go through and take away some of my suckers because I want them to be large. But there's a lot of different ways and methods to do it. Sometimes people don't even prune at all, too. So that's another method, too. You can just let it go wild. If you have plenty of space and you have plenty of like vertical space for it to be growing and spreading out, that it has plenty of airflow, by all means, I mean, let it do its thing. But like I said, there's no like 100% right or wrong. Everywhere is going to be slightly different too, like even location to location. So yeah. um, Good question here from Patricia. So she was saying, I heard to leave the suckers on determinate tomatoes. Is that true? So yes, thank you for this question. This is a great question. I do not prune. So whenever I'm talking here about tomato pruning, I'm talking about my indeterminate tomatoes. So these are tomatoes that are vining tomatoes that are taking up like a trellis, growing vertically, very large tomato plants. Things like Whopper tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, those ones like that that are growing indeterminately are ones that I'm talking about removing suckers and pruning them back and things like that. I don't ever go through and prune any of my determinate tomatoes. So tomatoes like Roma tomatoes, all of those, which are also called bush tomatoes, I leave those alone. I just put those in cages and let them do its thing. So those ones will just typically give me a harvest like all at once, or like maybe like a round or two and then be done. Whereas the indeterminate ones, where the ones we're talking about here pruning, those are the ones you're going to want to kind of keep on, because they're going to keep giving you tomatoes throughout the entire time you're there. Great. Yes, this is a huge benefit of pruning too. Lady D was saying, I just removed and planted a sucker and now I have a new plant growing. I know, it's so amazing, right? I love it. Good question. So Grace was asking, so would you say every other set? Honestly, it kind of depends on the plant and how it's growing and what space I have and what's growing next to it. Because honestly, like even in my garden, if I have like something growing right here, but if I have like something that's like a cucumber growing somewhat close to it, I might want to prune it back a little bit more to kind of save on space a little bit. It really depends. But essentially, yes. I mean, maybe every other set or something like that would be good. Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with all your questions. I'm sorry, I'm going through. Yes, my third year growing tomatoes. I only harvested 7, but it's fun. I know. I absolutely agree. It is super fun growing and harvesting tomatoes, and especially I have some of my favorites that have just started giving me some of mine. So I was out there like right before this snacking on my tomatoes out front. So yes. So again, on the determinate tomatoes, I don't do any sort of pruning on them at all. So. Oh, don't worry. So the Casey's like, oh no, I've been removing suckers for my Roma tomato. So no worries. Like I'm sure it will be just fine. I'm sure it'll be just fine. But from here on out, like you've just been doing unnecessary work for yourself. Unless you've been trying to create more Roma tomatoes for yourself and creating new plants, then great. But yes, in the future, you don't have to worry at all about your Roma tomatoes. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. I know that I feel like I threw a lot of tomato information at you guys there. But yes, so I mean, honestly, my method is just to do a little bit of everything, and it kind of just depends per variety that I'm doing essentially too. So let's see. Sorry, I'm going through. This is a good question. So, do you suggest the same for cucumbers? I'm going to pull up the Seed to Spoon app here and ask this question, because honestly, I don't ever personally Sorry, let me pull it up. I don't ever personally go through and prune my cucumbers. Should I be pruning cucumbers? If so, how? So I imagine, again, it would be exactly the same. Yes. So the suckers. So yeah, essentially that same method right here that we showed. Or, oh wow, it says two. You could do top pruning. Hey, I probably do need to do this on some of my cucumbers that are taking over the garden right now. So thank you for bringing that up and asking about cucumbers, because I probably need to do the same. But yes, so that number two right there, it sounds like that's how you would do the cucumbers as well. Same. Um, yes, good call. So Becky was asking, should you still prune so leaves don't touch dirt on determinate? So, okay, yes. So I will say a little caveat on my don't ever prune determinate tomatoes. I will do this, but typically whenever I first plant it out, I'm like making sure that I have all of them off of the bottom. So I typically don't have to prune them at all once I transplant. But yeah, it is a good idea to keep an eye on it, because like we talked about earlier, with any sort of splashing or things like that from the soil on the ground, if it touches the leaves, it can really hurt that tomato plant and spread diseases and things like that. So you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping up with that. Even if it is a determinate tomato, you definitely want to do that. But yes, I do this with indeterminate as well. And whenever it is a, like, even if it's a two or a three, and I, specifically want to keep all the twos, but it's something that's reaching closer to the dirt, I'm probably going to go ahead and just prune it off and just leave one further up the branch on, just because I don't want to risk it touching the soil or getting any sort of diseases on it, because that can really affect the entire plant. So if something gets on one leaf, it tends to spread and go through the entire plant. So you want to be really careful. Um, so this is a good question too. So do you use a scissors to prune? So it really depends, like what I use whenever I'm out there. Typically, if I'm just pinching off these suckers, I'm just using my hands, and I'm just going like this, and they just like will come right off in your hands. But I also have like pruning shears that I take out with me, especially if I'm removing some of like the three. It's usually a little bit larger. Um, so I will use like some pruning shears. But that being said, too, make sure, like, I am meticulous about this for a reason. Learn from my experience. Do not go through and use these pruning shears on like every single one of your tomatoes, especially if you're pruning off like limbs that might look a little questionable with like possible diseases or anything like that, because you will just go through and spread diseases to every single one of your tomato plants. So I'm always like very meticulous about this. This is like the one time that I'm like super meticulous about cleaning my shears, is with my tomatoes. Like it's something I'm meticulous on, and for a reason, because I have done it before and I have spread it, unfortunately, between tomatoes. So it's definitely something you want to watch out for. But yes, definitely do that. And I will say too, like, if they are like, you kind of want to be pruning them whenever they are on the smaller side too, so you can use your hands. But again, wash up between or wear gloves or something like that. But you are wanting to do this typically when they're smaller. You don't want to be removing a huge chunk of your tomato plant all at once. And again, to like, be careful of what temperature like it is right now. So for me, it's like approaching 100 degrees here right now in my garden. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of pruning out in the garden right now. It's just, I want to kind of just leave things alone right now and just let it go do its thing, and try to chill if it can. And the more I can leave it alone, the better it will be. So I'm like pretty much just letting things chill out in the garden, and just kind of like let it go through. And then once this heat spell that I'm currently in is done, then I will go back to going through. But like, I don't want to be doing a whole lot of heavy pruning whenever we have like heat spells or anything like that, intense sun coming in, like things like that. You just want to be mindful of the fact that it might put the plant into shock. So make sure that you are protecting them. Let's see. Desiree was saying, for deterrent tomatoes, I potted up 3 times and buried deep. Was this the wrong choice? They were only 2.5 feet high when they should have been 4 to 5. So, I mean, honestly, planting deep is great because it has like, it's more stable, it has more roots. You can water it less essentially too, because you won't have to water it quite as much. I always will tend to do that as much as I can, but potting up 3 times is quite a few times. I usually only do 1 or 2 times at the most myself, but it really just depends on what's going on weather-wise and how soon I can get my tomatoes outside. But it's definitely, you may not get quite as many tomatoes if a lot of it is like underground instead, but it should be a very healthy plant and you probably won't have to water quite as much too. And it should be very sturdy. So I like it. Let's see. Yes, good call. Spray your clippers down with alcohol. Or, yes, have different cutters for different plants. Absolutely, for sure. And this is a good call out too. Thank you. Prune early in the morning or late afternoon. Yep. That is good too, because you want to give it time. You want to give the plants time to recover and not do it in the heat of the day whenever it is super, super high. Yeah, this was my concern too with the up potting multiple times, probably disturbing the roots quite a bit. Yeah, that's why I do try to limit how many times I up pot, and I try to, like, whenever I'm starting things, I try to do things either in like the park seed biodome that doesn't like disturb the roots where I take them out and transplant them. And then like it just, yeah. Or there's the Smart Pots has this transplanter that I love. It actually has like an open side where you like open it up on the side and you could take it out real easy. I'll have to show you guys later. I don't have one like right on me, but those are amazing too for up potting also. So hey, this is a good problem most of the time. So if you get lots of rain with tomatoes, you're good to go ahead and prune because your plants are going to be plenty hydrated and they won't go into shock. But you have a risk with your tomatoes if you get too much rain of getting what's called blossom end rot. I don't have a picture of it handy, but I feel like I had I don't know. There was one of the videos recently that we I think showed a picture of it or something. I don't know. Essentially, it's where you have a tomato. The bottom part is kind of like black and kind of like rotted out, hence the name blossom end rot. So whenever you get a lot of rain, it just kind of washes the nutrients out of the soil, and that can happen. But I typically just keep up with doing a lot of espoma tomato tone and try to let it recover. Every couple weeks, I am out there with my espoma, trying to make sure that my tomatoes and my peppers and eggplants, all of those, get plenty of nutrients and fertilizing and all of that. So, okay. Let's talk about one of my favorite companion plants for tomatoes. But like I said, if you guys have any other questions about tomatoes or anything like that, please like pop them into the chat and we can always come back to it too. But with basil, I want to make sure that you guys are, so you can kind of see and hear like they make beautiful flowers up at the top, but whenever you does go to it's essential flower. Essentially going to seed, and it's signifying to the plant that it's done growing for the season. So you want to try to prevent it. At least for me, this time of year, I still want my basil growing and doing good. So I want to be making sure I'm going through and pinching them. So what I do is I go through where I have these flowers. I go through down and I find the next, like that first set of leaves down there, and then I pinch right below them under there. And I pinch that off, and you can do whatever with that. I have chickens or compost or anything like that. It'll all go. It'll all go to the same place essentially here in my house. But um, I try to make sure that I keep on top of pinching my basil for multiple reasons. So it will help make the plant grow bushier, larger. It will continue to give you leaves to harvest, to eat inside. And I love basil. So I grow many different varieties and flavors of basil that I can add in the kitchen. I absolutely love them. Um, but it will keep doing that for you. And then, but once it gets towards the end of the season, I do tend to let several of my basils go to seed. For many reasons, it brings in a whole bunch of pollinators. They love it when herbs go to seed like this and flower. It is their favorite thing in the whole world, I feel like, because they are always swarming all over it. So I do let it go and flower and do all that for the pollinators towards the end of the season. And also, like, it will just replant itself too. So it will drop a bunch of seeds. And seriously, I kid you not, the next year I will come back to that location, and in the like the springtime, I will already have a bunch of baby basils coming up. Like I have wild basil patches now because I let this happen, and I let it go to seed, and I let it just drop where it is and just kind of go wild. But yeah, I tend to do the bare minimal towards the end of the season, especially because you're getting hot and tired, and I'm focusing more on that time on trying to get like my cool season plants out. And I'm like, oh, I'll just leave my basil alone and let it do its thing. So yeah. It's a good question from the Casey. So have you fertilized while we've been in this heat wave? So I will say, like, I did at like the beginning, but I didn't get into, essentially our heat wave is like starting like yesterday, today. We've been really hot, but not like crazy hot, like heat advisory hot. You know what I mean? So I've been fertilizing, but I haven't now, just because I don't really want my tomatoes or anything like that to be trying to do a whole bunch of growing here this week. So once I think we have like maybe a week or so left of our heat advisory, really. And after that time, like it will go back to, I say go back down to 90s, like that's nothing, but it will go back down to 90s, and then I will go back to fertilizing like normal. So I'm really just taking like a week off, which is fine for me because I don't do it every week anyways. So essentially, like, I will say yes and no. I'm not doing it right now. I am going to hold off until our hundreds period is at least done. So hopefully that helps, because my plants out in the garden and all that, they're used to the 90s by now. But the hundreds are going to be new for them. So yeah, I don't want to shock them too much, and I don't want them to be putting all their effort into growing. I want them to be putting their effort into just surviving and continuing to live. So this is a good question too. So and one, I'm sorry I don't have an amazing like stop at this number, but yeah, exactly. It's essentially what my plants are used to. So, but like I said, my plants are used to the 90s now because it's been 90s for like at least a month now. They're fine with that. Um, So again, but in your area, if it's been 80s and they're fine with that, but then it's going up to the 90s, you may want to wait till it gets back down to the 80s. So it really just depends on what they're acclimated for too. That's what I typically go for. So okay, let's talk about some of the beautiful cut and come again flowers, which are my favorites. I love them. And I should have brought in some of my. I was going to, and I ran out of time. I was going to go out there and cut several of my zinnias for a really pretty bouquet in here. But I will say, one of the hardest things when I first started gardening was to go out in the garden and cut flowers. Believe it or not, I didn't want to. I was like, these flowers are so beautiful. I don't want to hurt them. But it took like a mind shift to be like, I'm not hurting them. I'm actually helping them because they want to be cut and come again. So whenever they produce a flower, if you cut them more, it actually encourages them to produce more. So especially like with zinnias, whenever you go in, whenever you I say harvest because I'm so used to harvesting like food and all that. But whenever you go out there and harvest your zinnias, wherever you cut for the one zinnia plant, it's going to go through and it's going to create two more for you. So it's amazing, but it is so hard because I love my flowers. But I always think I'm like, I am helping them and I'm creating even more flowers. Like, honestly, like creating so many more flowers. But I go through, once I get blooms, I will go out there and I will start cutting them. So you take like you leave at least one leaf node, and then you go down to the very top of the next one, and that's where you're going to trim for right there. And you can take them off, bring them inside, and it's going to create some more for you. So it's perfect. And a lot of these flowers are going to be the same. So we have like zinnias, sunflowers, cosmos, snapdragons, all of those right there are ones that will actually do better for you if you will cut them and bring them inside. They will create more and more flowers for you. It is the hardest thing I know that I had to get over, was actually the belief and the understanding that I'm actually helping them. But you actually do want to go out there and do it, because they will definitely go through and give you a lot more. Aw, I'm sorry to hear that your zinnias are being slow this year, but I'm glad your sunflowers are doing good. That's awesome. I'm actually the opposite. My sunflowers have not, except for like my little ones. My little ones have started blooming, but my big ones haven't started yet. But my yeah, my zinnias are just going wild, and I see so many pollinators all over them. Um, yes. So I actually have oh man, it's probably been a few weeks now, but if you scroll back on it, I'll post it again here soon. I actually have tips on how to cut a cut flower and actually keep them alive longer inside too. But if you go in and cut them, essentially, like, I know it's so hard to say. I should have put a better picture up here, but if you have like, I always keep like one set of leaves and then I go down to the next set and then I cut like right above right there. And that's where I always cut. And then whoop, they will form two more right there. Um, Yes. So Janet says, "Will Black-eyed Susan come back if deadhead?" Yeah. So I always deadhead again, like most all of my plants. You want to be deadheading things like the Black-eyed Susan, marigolds, petunias, a lot of those. Um, even wow, my mind just left me. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, yes, all of those you want to be going through and deadheading them. So whenever I say deadheading, so that's essentially, I mean, it's essentially pruning them too. But once that flower, so what I mean by deadheading is once that flower is dead, essentially. You just pull that off. And I have a video a couple weeks back showing this in like showing exactly how I do it on things like marigolds, and like how to do it. It's really very simple, and it's really just taking it off and helping it out. So essentially, yeah, somebody would say, yeah, right here, I feel like everything should be pruned. Yeah, pretty much. Like if you are not cutting your flowers to bring them inside, make sure you're deadheading them. Essentially, I mean, that's pretty much how it is. So um yeah, so let's see, should I be cutting my echinacea? Let's double check with Growbot really quick. Um, let's see what it says. Yes, deadheading echinacea or coneflowers can be beneficial. So removing spent blooms will encourage the plant to produce more flowers, extending the blooming period. So yes, absolutely. But yes. So they will rebloom if you go through and deadhead them. They will come back and do more. Oh no. Oh, this is funny. Yeah, my green beans are using my zinnia stems to grow up. Well, you know what? Like, unless it's like the very top, you can still trim them down a little bit. But yeah, you might want to just leave them alone if your green beans are using them to trellis. Hey, I love it. That's a great, unique way. And I will say, one of the amazing things about zinnias is if you do like just leave them out there and let them die, they will go to seed and then they will drop their seeds into the soil. Next year, there will be a whole bunch more zinnias right there. So you're not hurting your plant at all. You're just not going to get a whole bunch more flowers from your zinnias. You'll still get that one, but it will drop it. I'll drop all that seeds, and then those seeds will give you a whole bunch more flowers. So there's always beautiful things from mistakes, right? Yes, very true. A plant will easily get out of control if you don't go through and prune it. And sometimes, like, hey, I'm all for plants going out of control sometimes, but I love them all. Okay, I think we covered most of everything. If I missed any questions, please like let me know. Like pop them into the chat, and we'll go through and answer them. So Nanette is asking for best tips for growing eucalyptus. So I'm going to ask for all of you guys to pop in some tips for Nanette. And I can pull up Growbot, but I have actually not grown eucalyptus before. Surprisingly, I actually have eucalyptus seeds now because I really want to, but I haven't done it yet. Okay, so here's what Growbot says. Warm climates and cooler areas, grow them in pots and bring them indoors during the winter. Sandy or loomy soil, full sun, water regularly, but once they're mature, they're drought tolerant. Okay. Yeah. So I would love to hear if any of you guys have grown eucalyptus, because I have not, and Nanette needs our help, everybody. Okay, I'm going to run our giveaway really quick. But if you guys have any questions at all, please like pop them in the chat. If you have any questions going back or anything about anything that we have talked about here. Sorry, hold on just a second. It's always the hardest part is going through and getting this ran. Let's see. Okay. Um, so the Casey was asking in the app, is the planting time from seed? Okay, so this is a great question. So in the Seed to Spoon app, there is, so, and this is for everybody, right here in the growing guides section. If you pull up any of these plants right here, you can just go into them. And right here, so there's indoor seed starting. So those ones are going to be by seed. The outdoor spring planting window. This is going to be either when you can plant these outdoors by seed or put your transplants out. So really, it's either or. So there's no like, I mean, especially for things like acorn squash, because you can continue to plant like starting at that point up through like where it says the ending date for fall, essentially. Um, so, yeah. Okay. Hold up. I got to copy and paste now. Um, Here, I just wrote it in. Hopefully, I spelled this correct. Okay. So, congratulations here to Janet Dolina. Congratulations. So send me a message right here at info@seedtospoon.net and I will get you all hooked up with your free year of a premium app subscription. Um, and two, like if you are in the audience right now in the chat and you guys want to win for the after the fact, please like go back in after this post, leave a comment in the comment section, and you'll be entered in to win the drawing that we do at the beginning of next week. So I'm not sure what we're talking about next week. If you all have great suggestions, that could be a really good comment to leave for a suggestion for me to do. Otherwise, I hope to see you all next week. Same time, same place. I am always here chatting, gardening, and hanging out. So I hope to see you all again next week. Thank you all so much for joining today, and I'll see you then.